Good morning, a very warm welcome to you. Thank you for your patience. We're just starting a few minutes late due to some technical challenges, but we are here now, and we are very much looking forward to our presentation about careers in environmental sciences. Our speaker for today is Mr. Tebogo Mathaba, and he is from the South African National Botanical Institute, and he will be talking to us about careers in the environmental science field. So our program for this morning, I am now doing the welcome. I've also got two colleagues with me. So Mrs. Mandu Makanya will be introducing our speaker to us shortly. Then there will be the presentation by our speaker, and after that there will be a question and answer session. So as you are listening to the presentation, please post any questions that you have to him in the Q&A on Teams, and we will then be answering those questions at the end of the session. And then I will invite my other colleague, Mr. Beki Mzobi, to just do a thank you for us. So from my side, thank you very much. Mrs. Makanya, if you could just go ahead and introduce our speaker to us.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure this morning to introduce our speaker for the day. His name is Mr. Tebogo Cyprian Mathaba. He is a Senior Environmental Education Officer at SANBI, a Biodiversity Education and Public Engagement Directorate. It is an organization that is based at the Pretoria National Botanical Gardens. He has over 20 years experience as an environmental education officer, running EE programs for learners, teacher development programs, and community awareness programs. He has been involved also as a mentor to students in different environmental and biodiversity studies who wish to pursue careers in biodiversity and education sector. He is going to give a presentation now, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Mr. Mathaba. You are welcome. Thank you, Lisa.
Good afternoon, Lisa, and good afternoon, Mrs. Makanya, Mr. Mzobe. It's a great pleasure to be participating in the counseling and career development session hosted by UNISA. It's also quite a great pleasure to be participating in anything that is happening at UNISA when UNISA is celebrating its 150 years anniversary. So one feels part of the history that is happening at UNISA in its life form. A very big institution, a very well experienced institution. I don't want to say old institution. So yeah, it really is a great pleasure. As I was introduced, my name is Tebogo Mathaba, and I'm at SANBI. I'm based at the Pretoria National Botanical Garden, and I'm in the education unit there. So I'm not very much purely a natural scientist, but however, my talk here will be talking to you about careers in environmental science, and I'll be linking the careers that I'll be talking about to the work that is being done at SANBI. So my presentation will introduce SANBI, what SANBI does, and then how do you, as students in the natural science, the biodiversity science, the life science, can contribute to what is being done by SANBI. So I'm going to share my presentation, and we'll take it from there. I see on the program I'm supposed to talk for an hour. It might not necessarily be the exact hour, but I think in the Q&A and the interaction and the engagement, we will be able to fill in the gaps of what is needed there. Like I said, I'm in the Biodiversity Education and Public Engagement Directorate, a directorate that is across the different units or centers of SANBI. So SANBI is a an institution has a vision of biodiversity richness for all South Africans. And our mission is to champion the exploration and conservation, sustainable use, appreciation, and the enjoyment of South African exceptional biodiversity, and this for all South African. How do we do that? So we explore, so we go and we do the research about the biodiversity, and then we conserve, so we look after it. We make sure that it is well looked after, it is preserved, it's not disturbed. We promote the sustainable use, which means we're not saying it's untouchable. We're not saying you can't interact with it, but we're saying you need to use it in a sustainable way. And then, of course, the appreciation and enjoyment, and that we do it through our education programs, and we also do it through our botanical gardens and the zoos that we have. We are an entity that belongs to the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. So that's the mother department, and that's where our mandate is derived from. And of course, our mandate is really, as I said, to explore, reveal, and then celebrate and champion biodiversity for the benefit of and enjoyment of all South Africans. We do that in our national botanical gardens and in the national zoological gardens, which we use as a window to South African biodiversity. I'm trying to move my presentation along. Okay, there we go. So there we are. That's where we are based. That's where we're operating. So all the green there represent the botanical gardens, and the red represent the zoo gardens, where we have our animals. And I'm hoping in the participants that are on this call, somebody who's been to at least one of those botanical gardens. I know some people like myself might have been to all the botanical gardens. Well, I would have been there because I work for SANBI, but some people might have made time to go to the botanical gardens. Yes, we have the most famous, which is Kirstenbosch, which is down in the Western Cape, and of course the Pretoria Garden, and I'm sure some of you have been to the zoo. So what does SANBI do? So let's explain a bit about SANBI in a nutshell. So we do foundations, which is the collection, the different plants and animals that we collect, life and not life, the taxonomy, the naming, the classification. We do the inventory, we put together the maps, the classification of ecosystems, and of course, then knowing what is there in terms of the species. All of that is built into knowledge, biodiversity knowledge, where we do assessments, we tell you the status of the environment, we tell you what are the trends in the environment, we monitor it, what is happening in the environment or in biodiversity, and of course we then model what would it be in the future. And then, of course, all of that information, the foundations and the information, then informs government in or policy and action that must be taken. When planning is done, our information is important. When policy advice is done, our information is important. Well, tools, environmental tools are developed, our information is very important. We deal, and all of that will influence the human well-being and the improved service delivery. And of course, the biggest thing, and for the youth that might be sitting in this call, the job creation thereof. So we harness biodiversity value, invest in an ecological infrastructure, ecosystem-based adaptations to climate change, streamlined information. So if you look at this triangle, if you like, it really ends up at what does it mean for people? But all of this is done with two pillars on the side. One are the gardens, the botanical gardens in the zoo, and the other is the human capital development. And this is where you as student would come in. This is you as the university would come in. How do we make sure that the human capital development for all this work to happen? Do we find jobs in biodiversity? Yes, we do. Okay, so in biodiversity, more than 418,000 biodiversity related jobs are created, and these are jobs in the tourism sector, jobs in the biodiversity research and professional services, jobs in the restoring of ecological infrastructure, your wetlands, your rivers, jobs in the protection of the biodiversity, and you can see we even link up with mining. So you would think that mining is a deterrent to the sustainability of the environment. No, because there are particular jobs that we create out of that. When we check in terms of what are the critical skills within the sector, those jobs that need some kind of attention in the sector, we need a lot of geologists. We have very, very few geologists. We need conservation scientists in order to look after our ecosystems. We need a lot of people in the ocean economy, the ocean careers, the sea careers. We need a lot of people to do work in hydrological careers. We still have quite a big need for zoologists. And because of this elephant in the room called climate change, we need a lot of people to do work in the as climate change scientists. So what are the careers that you find in SANBI? So there are the careers that you find in SANBI. So we have different divisions in SANBI. The first two divisions I'm going to talk about are the Biodiversity Research and Assessment Monitoring Division, where we have science botanists, so people that are studying or working on the different plants. We've got 3 herbariums in SANBI that housing just over 1.5 million specimens that have been collected in South Africa and neighboring countries. And we have a lot of people who are doing work on those plants. We have a lot of researchers and scientists in our institution. We have people who are doing work on the climate change adaptation. How do we really get our environment to adapt to the climate change? We're doing a lot of work and big work on invasive alien plant specialists. A lot of research is being done in SANBI, and we use it for the eradication of the invasive alien plants. We have GIS technicians who really are mapping where we find our biodiversity. We have a lot of people who are doing biodiversity stewardship advisory, and these people are working more in the rural areas just to get people to look after the biodiversity. We have science communicators, of which I'm one of those, and we have marine biologists and hydrologists. What university courses do you need in order to be able to do those work or that work? Nature conservation, geography, environmental science management. We have a lot of our people. Their junior degrees were on environmental science management. We have marine biologists, postgrad, and we also have 1 or 2 hydrology students. Then another division is the conservation, gardens, and tourism. We have curators, and these are people who really looking after our gardens. We have the horticulturists who are doing the development of our gardens and also looking after our nurseries. We have seed collectors. SANBI has one of the biggest programs, which is a worldwide program about collecting of seeds and storing them in a safe area, so that when should those plants get extinct, we can then use them to introduce them back into the environment. We have interpretation officers who do the interpretation and also publish quite a number of books around the different biodiversity species that we have in our gardens. We have environmental education officers. You're talking to one this morning, ecologists, animal attendants in the zoo, the veterinary nurses, even the vets themselves, and of course we have a couple of zoologists. What are the courses? Horticulture, nature conservation, botany, environmental management, there it comes again, and veterinary science. Then another unit that we have in SANBI is the biosystematic collections, where we, if you look at the gentleman on the picture there, you'll see all the different plant species that we sit with in our in our herbarium. So we have quite a number of herbarium technicians and taxonomists that are working on those plants there. And we have one or two, not a lot, genetic specialists there. Again, those are the courses that one can study in. We have biodiversity science, biodiversity information and policy advice, and these are the people who really advise government on the different development that would need to happen in the environment. And there are the courses: natural sciences, project management, BA and BSc environmental management, geography, mathematics, and of course computer science, particularly the people who go into to be doing the mapping of this biodiversity. Now, the objectives of the student program, which SANBI has, is to provide students with practical experience, the on-job skills. So we have quite a number of students who come and participate in our student programs. We prepare postgraduate students for their careers in research. We explore expose students to career prospects in the biodiversity, and provide SANBI with an opportunity to observe and track students for permanent positions. Quite a number of people who've been on our student programs have later become full-time employees of the institution. How do we do that? So we have a lot of students who are doing the work integrated learning programs. I know in my office at the moment we're helping a couple of students who are doing nature conservation, and with their work integrated learning experience, we host quite a number of qualified students through the NRF SASTA internship. There's a joint range internship in Kirstenbosch, and we have the Kunsebenza internship there. Then we have scholarships, which we provide bursaries for postgraduate research, and through the Kirstenbosch scholarship, we provide scholarship for BTech or advanced diploma people, and also through the road range. We have quite a number of part-time workers, those that have qualified but are not able to get jobs. We provide them with that opportunity to participate in those programs. And lastly, that is the information where you can get hold of us if you need to participate in any of the programs that we have. These programs are usually, some of them we advertise around October, November, because we want the students to start participating as the year begins. So check us in those papers and contact us, and we can take it from there. Thank you so much, Elsa. I'm going to pause right here and apologize for my laptop that keeps on jamming, but I hope I'll be able to interact easily with the students as they ask the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We could still clearly see your presentation, so it's not a problem. So we've got a couple of questions. I just want to share my presentation again before we start there. Just while I'm reading through the questions, I have posted a link to the student opportunities that you mentioned in the Q&A. So I would hope that those who are interested would go and take a look at the requirements for the internships as well as for the bursaries. Okay, so Kim was asking, does SANBI offer vacation work or volunteer opportunities for students?
Yes, we do. All you need to do is to get in touch with us, and then of course, it would have to be a volunteer opportunity, because we don't really offer, temporary or holiday work. But you get in touch with us, and then it must be related to something that we do. So it can be something that is not in the institution, and then of course we will offer you the opportunity to participate in this. But yes, we do, and we do it across our different gardens, and mostly it's in the environmental education unit, which is where I am. It's in the garden, and it's in the National Herbarium. Some scientists might not have the capacity to be able to be involved with you through in a school holiday, because of the kind of work that they do. But in the herbarium, you'll be able to go in, assist with the plant propagation, with the plant collection, assist with the curation. You would be able to do that even in the garden, help with the development of the garden. With us, you would help with the learning programs, the visit of the different groups that are coming into the garden. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm just want to check, when you say get in touch with you about the volunteer, is there like a central place where students need to contact you for the volunteer opportunities, or how would they inquire about those opportunities?
Two ways. I think I did share my information, email info@sanbi.org.za. That's one. The second one is you can call the garden directly. For scientific work in terms of herbarium, it would have to be Pretoria Garden or the Kirstenbosch Garden. But in terms of horticultural work, or work that has to do with practically being in the environment, in the garden, you can contact any garden, any of the 9 gardens. You can contact the zoo directly. But that email of info@sanbi.org.za, it gets to our information desk, and they will immediately reroute it to the relevant person.
Thank you very much. I've also posted that in the Q&A for students who would be interested. Luvuyo was asking, do you recommend students to register with the SA Council for Natural Scientific Professions, SACNASP?
That goes without saying. Registering with these professional bodies also helps for you to get updated information, helps for you to get, if there are any posts that are being advertised, helps for you to know who is where and needs that. The other thing that you also need to do, and we just opened an opportunity a couple of weeks ago. It's now closed, but it will open again in January, where we have asked students, particularly postgrads, to register on our database for research scientists. So if you get a researcher who wants to go and do work in KZN and doesn't have the hands to go and do that work in KZN, we go into that web page and we see who is doing environmental management and sitting in a municipality somewhere in Ulundi, and we want to go and do work there. We go into the database and we say, oh, there's a young man, there's a young woman who already has a qualification but is unemployed at the moment. Let's hire this person for 2 to 3 months to do this work. And of course that builds into your CV, because then you would have had that experience of the practical know-how and the groundwork of what can be done.
Thank you very much. I saw now on the website, as you said, the opportunity is closed for now. But I will post the link so that those who are interested could just keep an eye out for the next announcement.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see here. Pumla is asking, do you need a teaching qualification for environmental education?
Not necessarily. If I have to tell you that in all my colleagues that we are sitting in the biodiversity education and public engagement, I think maybe only three of us have teaching qualifications. Most of us are nature conservators, just had the passion for education, and we joined the directorate in that way. I think 2 or 3 of my colleagues are environmental scientists, but just had the heart for doing environmental education, had the experience for doing environmental education. We went into I'm talking now about myself. We went into these units simply because we studied that, and then but we found out that actually we are, shall I say, teachers at heart, and then we ended up in environmental education. No, you a teaching qualification enhances your knowledge, because a lot of the work that you're going to do is going to be involved with curriculum, particularly if you have to work with schools, because Department of Educations are quite strict lately about the fact that you whatever you do with learners, whatever you do with schools, must be linked to the curriculum. So a teaching qualification will just enhance your work.
Thank you. Somebody is asking, would you say that the work at SANBI is more academic research or more practice-based?
Both. We have a very big leg on the academic, and you will see with the amount of publications, scientific publications that come out of SANBI. But the practical is also big, because remember, we can do all this academic work, but if the community do not understand what we're doing, it becomes futile, because then they can't participate with us in looking after the environment. So the practical part of it is also quite important. So we balance our work between those two.
Thank you. And then there's a question, how often does SANBI advertise positions, and where do you normally advertise?
Our webpage is your best bet. We lately don't really go out to newspapers. So advice, check the SANBI webpage at least once a week. Yes, there are at the moment not a lot of posts. Remember, we are a parastatal of government, so our funding is from the Department of Environmental Affairs, Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. As and when we get the funding, we'll be able to know how do we post the post. Over and above that, we have a number of funders that would fund our work. Although half the time, funders don't really fund posts. They would fund the resources to do a project, but from time to time there would be a contract job to be done there. We have just now hired, not only in SANBI but even with partner organizations, quite a number of interns, just over 1,300 across the country. And again, that was because we received money specifically for an internship program. Yeah, so the advice I always give people is to check our webpage at least once a week, because most of our posts are advertised for not less than 2 weeks. That a post would be open for people to apply for it.
Thank you, Tebogo. Those are the only questions we've got at the moment. What I have done is that I've also posted a link to the SANBI Jobs website. So those who are interested to just monitor what kind of positions are being offered, even if you're currently a student, it would still be useful for you to go and see, what kind of opportunities might be available at SANBI. Tebogo, as I was listening to your presentation, of course you work for SANBI, so that is your orientation. But I was wondering, just as a practitioner in this field, are you able to also just share with us some information about other institutions or other kind of work environments that students who work in environmental sciences could also do more research about?
I really would, Lisa, we have a partner organization called Green Matter. And it's green and then capital letter M and then MATER. Please Google Green Matter, because a lot of work is being done on by Green Matter on what we call the biodiversity human capital development. They link up with a lot of organizations in and out of the country that are needing young people to do biodiversity work. They also link up with a lot of institutions that are looking for young people to sponsor with bursaries for the environmental work. So I would advise that you link up with Green Matter. You know, one can easily say look into the environmental institutions that are existing, but Green Matter is almost like sort of like the body where you would be able to get a lot of this information.
Thank you very much. I'm also just going to post a link to the Green Matter website. That's also very valuable information. Then the other question that I also wanted to ask you, when we talk to students, we always encourage them to do research, about the fields. So let's say, for example, you are interested in studying zoology. It's a good idea for you to go and talk to people who work within that field so that you can get a broader understanding of how to plan your career and your studies. So I was just wondering, in the instance of SANBI, do you think it would also be a good idea for students to get to know people in your organization and to try and contact them? And would they be open for such kind of conversations is actually the question.
Yes. But you see, I wouldn't advise a student to just walk into a national herbarium and say, hey, I want to talk to a botanist. You go into an institution and you say, I'm doing work on this in my studies. Who can I talk to that can talk to me about this topic? And in that way, you're starting a conversation with somebody who is doing work in what you are interested in, but and will be able to assist you into the future. We have two reference libraries in SANBI. One in the National Herbarium in Pretoria, and one in the herbarium down in Kirstenbosch. So we always advise students to go into the libraries, look at what is done in the libraries, talk to the librarians. They have been able to connect the students with relevant people to the students' careers. And that is one part that I really would advise. Don't sit in a corner and think the professional will find you. Yes, one or two people could be lucky for a professional to find them. But you need to go and look for the professionals, find them in those areas. Yeah. So and like I say, and from time to time we get the students who come into our institution and say, what are you people doing? Come and tell me, I am doing this. What can you help me with? Who can I talk to? Who can I get as a mentor in the meantime? And those people are most of the time willing to give their time to mentor. Because remember, for us to sustain the environment, for us to sustain biodiversity, we need more and more. And we can't expect it to be done by US students, much as we also can't expect it to be done by us only as biodiversity professionals.
Thank you. That's very valuable. And what I hear you saying is that it will really benefit you to have a very proactive approach, and that you are trying to connect with people in your field so that you can start to network. but then also be connected to other people, because it's difficult to do this, just by searching online. So if you put your face in front of other people, it's really beneficial for you to be able to negotiate that kind of information. Okay, so for now, we don't have any further questions. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a few announcements from our side. You are welcome, as you are listening to the announcements, to continue posting any questions. I will just check in before we end the session so that we can see if there are any outstanding questions. So we are just mentioning the Virtual Grad Expo. This is a platform that you can register on, and the idea with the Virtual Grad Expo is that throughout the year you're able to find information about opportunities available at different employers, professional organizations, as well as other higher education institutions. And this information, even if you are not actively looking for a job at the moment, will help you to do a lot of research about future opportunities. And then part of the Virtual Grad Expo is that on the 27th of July, excuse me, and the 17th of August, there will also be live events, and during these live events you are then able to attend workshops or sessions presented by employers. You're also able to engage with employers on the platform through the question and answer system. So please go and take time and register on the Virtual Grad Expo website. The link is there on the screen, and then on the 27th of July and the 17th of August, attend the live events where you'll be able to meet up with employers. Then in terms of other career events, we regularly post the updated information about the events on the MyUNISA events calendar. So please take a look for future events. For the rest of July and August, most of the events will take place every Tuesday and Thursday. So as you are visiting MyUNISA, just go and check out any further events that you would want to attend. Then just an announcement about the Accounting Sciences Career Exhibition. So if you know anybody who is studying accounting, please also share this information with them. So it's an on-campus event on the UNISA Sunnyside campus that will take place on the 27th of July. And there will be a number of organizations that employ accounting science students that you could go and visit and have a chat with them about the opportunities available. Then the Grad Next book is a book that you can download free of charge. The link is also there on the screen, and the book contains a lot of useful information about your employability. For example, how to look for jobs, how to write your CV and cover letters, networking, preparing for interviews, personal branding, as well as managing money. So this book is very valuable in terms of helping you to plan your next steps and to prepare and be ready for opportunities that will come your way. Then from our side, we would love to hear from you. So you are welcome to send any questions, feedback or suggestions to Mrs. Mandu Makanya, and her email address is there on the screen. If you would want to talk to any of the UNISA counsellors, you're welcome to send us an email. You're also welcome to book an online appointment. This takes place on Microsoft Teams, or you're also welcome to contact a counsellor at the UNISA regional office closest to you if you prefer to go and talk to somebody in person. Our website at www.unisa.ac.za/counselling contains a lot of valuable information that you can use to plan your career, but then also helping you to manage your studies and any personal development challenges that you are experiencing. Then the YouTube channel, youtube.com/UNISA Careers, also contains videos or recordings of all the sessions that we do, such as this one. And you can go and take a look at the past recordings that we've done, as well as the recording for today's session should be available online from tomorrow. I just want to check in if there are any further questions that came through. I can't see any right now. So I'm just going to ask my colleague, Mr. Beki Mzobe, if you could just end off the session for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and good day, everyone. We have now come to the end of today's session. On that note, I take this opportunity on behalf of my colleagues and the entire Directorate for Counseling and Career Development at UNISA to extend my gratitude to our guest speaker, Mr. Tebogo Mathaba, for a very informative and interesting presentation. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation to come and share this valuable information with our students and talk about NTT SANBI, the role that you play in SANBI in conserving nature and environment, and also talking about the careers within SANBI. This information shared today will help our students and graduates, especially those who are in the field of environmental sciences. And also the contribution that you are making as SANBI to create opportunities for students and graduates is greatly appreciated. I have no doubt that our students will take advantage of these opportunities that you are offering. As Directorate for Counseling and Career Development at UNISA, we are looking forward to a continued fruitful partnership with SANBI. Thank you so much, Mr. Mathaba. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Becky. Mr. Mathaba, do you have any last thoughts that you would want to share with us?
Lisa, Becky, and Mrs. Makanya, thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate and look forward to more interaction, not necessarily only with the institution, but of course with the students. We are always available to support, because the more scientists we have, the better the sustainability of our environment and our biodiversity. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mathaba.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone who attended. I hope that you feel as inspired as I am to go and explore more about the opportunities available, and hope to see you in future sessions. Thank you.